I have 100 days to survive in Imperial Gardens, but that's not all. I need to create the best XP farm I know, get the best armor in the game with the best possible enchantments, and also defeat 2 bosses and make a beacon. In addition, I'm building everything I can at that time, and my adventure begins on day 1. I ended up being thrown into a tree right after I was born, and to start off on the right foot, I collect some wood to make a wooden pickaxe, but only to collect enough material to be able to discard this one and make a stone one. After collecting some coal, I collected some more wood and decided to explore the world and see if I could find anything useful. Some trees here make a very strange noise. This at night must certainly give you the creeps. I didn't know it at the time, but unfortunately no creatures spawn in this world completely covered by Pale Garden, and my objective now was precisely to find a way to get wool. And since night was approaching, I collected as many seeds as I could. Since there weren't even any fish in the water, I had only one option: survive the dark night in this place. I remembered that you could make wool from spider webs too, so being as careful as possible, I tried to get closer in search of spiders, but in the process I was nearly wiped out by a skeleton. Luckily, he couldn't swim. Still being careful not to get wiped out, I managed to wipe out the first spider, and as soon as another day dawned, I managed to get the second one as well. With only a little web left in my inventory, I thought it best to craft a fishing rod to at least get my food. While I was fishing, I was lucky enough to catch a fishing rod with a bait too and mend the enchantment, so I no longer had to worry about the rod breaking while I was fishing, and I dedicated the rest of the night to catching as much food as I could. On the morning of the 3rd, I was still a long way from starting to build anything, but it was time to put my fears aside and began chopping down some trees, just to make a starting base so I wouldn't have to be in the open sea, running from the creature that haunts this forest at night. As night fell, everything was ready for me to survive another night, and since I couldn't explore the world, I dug up an area to try to get at least some more. With the little iron I collected, I made a shield and also some stairs to make it easier to access this area in the future. That is, if by chance I didn't find a giant caves in this world. After that, I finally made my first piece of armor, an iron pickaxe and a helmet. Once I reached full iron, I decided to explore the area a bit in search of spiders so I could finally get wolves for the beds. But night turned to day, and I still didn't have enough line for bed. But the best part is that it wasn't all for nothing, as I found a pretty big cave that could give me what I was looking for. Careful not to be erased from history, I made a bucket and got some water to get down safely, until I managed to get my first 2 diamonds. While exploring the place, I came across a zombie spawn that saved me a lot, as it had all the threads I needed to finally make my dream bed. And I also came across an abandoned mine, but I didn't stick around long to see what I could find and decided to head home. Wow, you're such a coward. Is it you or me who's playing? So watch the video and stay quiet. Since I had decided to try to collect a little more iron, I ended up looking like a bullet in a toothless person's mouth, completely lost. So much so even my shield ended up breaking in the middle of the cave, so I had to improvise another one to keep searching for the exit while I collected some more ores. But why don't you dig upwards? Cause I want to take advantage of the opportunity to collect as much iron as I could. After sleeping in the presence of monsters who wanted my end, it was time to return to my red hole, and I managed to earn a total of almost 3 packs of iron with just this exploration. As soon as I got home, I set all the iron to smelt, but in the meantime, I chopped down some trees, using the energy to clear the area for my future base. Just cutting down the trees wouldn't be enough, cause I needed to find a way to remove the pale moss blocks on the ground and replace them with dirt, which is a very tedious and time-consuming process. I spent a few days on this tedious process, breaking wood, planting sugarcane and breaking earth, until finally I could start building something if I wanted to. Even though I forgot to record this part, a merchant showed up and I borrowed his llamas, and I had planted some seeds too. With some materials I'd already collected, I started laying out my house, and once that was complete, I just had to dedicate a few more days to building it. Well, at least that's how it would be if I didn't end up running out of resources and having to stop at the last moment to collect some more. Now, I could get back to what was really important. While I was finishing up the house, a patrol of villagers showed up, and being a good Samaritan, I went to welcome them. Even though the house was finished, I still needed to fix up the interior, which was pretty weird. So the first thing I'll replace is the flooring, using slabs to save materials. Then I'll build a storage area and decorate it to keep it looking less ugly. With the storage area done, I started moving my items that were in temporary chests, and I had so much stuff stored that I ended up taking a little over the day just to make this move. Once I've managed to move everything to the permanent chests, I tear down the temporary house that was just in taking up space for a much better construction later on. Since men cannot live on air alone, I dedicated some time to working on my furnace area.
But why do that if there aren't even passive monsters in the world?
Oh, and there's no ore to smelt, right? I had the lower part practically all decorated. I did some simple this time, but functional. To access the upper floor, I again built a spiral staircase, and in most large houses this staircase works perfectly. Now that the main areas of the house were finished, I needed to return to the cave again. My goal later on is to go to the Nether, collect some resources, and then head to the end. This time, I decided to speed things up to finish the game and get better gear. I even found an amethyst geode, and I only collected a few, so as not to leave empty-handed. As soon as I get home, there was another merchant there. Unfortunately, he didn't sell anything good either, so the only good things he gave me were his llamas hides and a lead. Once I've melted some gold, I gathered some food to avoid going hungry and returned to my cave exploration. This was because I'd run into the following problem. I wouldn't have enough arrows to take down the end towers, so I needed the skeletons to drop their arrows. This was because it would be quite difficult to defeat a dragon with my current equipment, and I have to keep climbing the towers to destroy them. In the cave, a creeper even helped me get a carrot from a zombie, so maybe this will be more useful later on, but it wasn't quite what I was looking for. At the end of the exploration, I got a total of just over 30 arrows, which should be enough. I also planted my only carrot and went in search of the lava river near my house to get some obsidian. With the portal open, I crafted a mix of diamond, iron, and gold armor, and I finally ventured into the Nether. Luck was partially on my side, as I appeared very close to a fortress. I say partially because, unfortunately, it was a fortress with an open blaze spawner. I even tried to throw one of the gas balls back at him, but I am terrible at ping pong. I finally gained access to the fortress, but I was so well received when I got there that I ended up crying. What an ignorant animal, dude. Leaving that spawn aside, I took the opportunity to clear some withered skeletons, until I managed to find a blaze spawn that was simply perfect. It was already complete closed, and I just had to wait for them to spawn to collect what I needed. After getting my 10 blaze rods, it was time for the easy part, getting the ender pearls. While exploring the place, I even picked up some nether wart in case I need it in the future. I don't even know if that's what it's actually called, but whatever. In the process, I got my first wither head, but my mission here wasn't over yet, and now it was the most boring part of all, chasing the endermans to get their pearls. I even tried trading my gold to the piglins to see if they could help me, but they didn't give me anything useful, not even a fire resistance potion. It took a while before I finally managed to get a few that I thought would be enough, but little did I know I'd have to come back here in the future to get just one pearl. As soon as I got home, I grabbed some bone meals I had to get some more carrots and make some golden carrots for my upcoming fight. I checked the Champ Base website to see where the Stronghold was, but since it was a completely unique biome world, I didn't know if it would actually work, but my doubts were clearly up shortly after, since as soon as I arrived at the coordinates, the place was wrong and there was no Stronghold there. So the only way is to use the traditional method, but even though I used the traditional method, there was a fortress relatively close by.
At least that's what the Eye of Ender was showing me.
Thank heavens everything had gone well and there really was a stronghold nearby. But my question now was, will I have enough pearls to activate a portal? Well, before I discovered this, I got some books from the library there and also collected some enchanted books that I found from the chests. And when I finally got to where the portal was, there was only one Eye of the End left to activate. At that moment, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Desperate for an ender pearl, I tried searching every chest in the hope of finding at least one, since there are always chests. But I already used up all my luck finding the Nether fortress. That's because I didn't find anything that helped me. So I was forced to return to the Nether, finish off an Enderman, and collect the last remaining pearl to activate the portal. Man, I'm not gonna lie, my finger was itching to quit the game. But anyway, as soon as I got to the end, I needed some more pearls in case I got thrown up in the air by the dragon's attacks, and the Enderman kindly offered me their pearls for free, just because I complimented them on Toothless.
They're so sensitive, man.
Even though my aim isn't the best, I managed to knock down the towers easily, with the exception of the two tallest one, which I had to climb up with the help of a bucket. The damage I did with this bow alone would have been enough to finish off the dragon if I had more arrows, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. With the beast defeated, I have the dragon axe a quick once over and begin my quest for the perfect gear. I'll tell you right now that I spent quite a while here and managed to find several boats in these floating cities, so much so that I even crafted a few sugar boxes to collect all the enchanted gear I could find.
Wow, you're such an amateur. Why get iron equipment, man?
It's simple, I can disenchant them and use the experience to improve diamond equipment. I returned home on day 40, and these were some of the things I accomplished there. I still had a few things to do, but one of them would be to remove the portal from where it was, since I had a more interesting place for it later. After that, I started combining some equipment to get something much better, and I did that with my armor as well. While I still haven't found the perfect gear, I'm closer than far from achieving that goal. Returning to the focus of my one-man village, since that's what I've decided to call it, I'm working on its paths using coarse dirt and mixing in some regular dirt. I decided to remove the previous plantation from here as well, and I started building a fence to house my new plantation. I only used deep slate materials because that's what I had in abundance in my chests, but I confess I was pleased with the end result. The fence was already ready, but now I needed to move my crops in, so I took some time to do that in peace. I had a new goal in mind, and to achieve it, I would need lots and lots of minerals, so I prepared myself again to return to the cave. I just didn't expect that they would throw me a party as soon as I got there. While exploring the cave, a few things happened, like finding another abandoned mine, encountering a cave spider spawn, and even getting another one golden apple. But don't worry, it gets better. Even though I'd already collected a lot of ore, I found something I'd never seen before in the mine, a gigantic vein of iron. I don't know what it's called, but it's when there's a lot of iron covered by tough blocks and the like. There was so much ore that I even dug around to see how much I would end up finding, but it was too much to dig, and I ended up giving up on the idea and just picking up the iron. I could even hear my Fortune 3 pickaxe that I got in the end crying, begging for it all to end soon. Before I lost a crucial tool, things really ran out, and that's why I was forced to return home. In total, I had practically a full sugar box of iron, so I immediately set them to melting. Since there is a lot of ore to be melted, I decided to do a little renovation in my furnace area to make things a little more automated, and I don't have to keep putting ore in it to melt all the time.
Whoa, what are you going to do with so much ore?
No comments. I intend to face a boss I've never faced in my life, precisely because I was afraid of what might happen, the Wither. I need the mini ores because I intend to make a complete iron beacon, something I've never done in survival mode either. Since I had plenty of wood, I set it up for smelting so I could get plenty of charcoal, but I also created a semi-automatic furnace project to smelt the wood, but on the upper floor. Now that things were somewhat more automated, I closed the mining area I had created earlier and took some time to move those plantations I had created back into place. Man, seriously, I needed to decide where I want things to be. Where my old plantation was, would be the sugarcane plantation now, and that's why I put the vegetables next to my house. As I was working on my sugarcane plantation, a patrol appeared again. Once again, I had to greet them. On day 53, I needed to go back to the Nether and start getting the other two Wither skeleton heads that were still missing to summon the Wither. But this time, I already left the portal where it would stay permanently. As soon as I got back to the Nether, I destroyed that blaze spawner that was out in the open, so it wouldn't get in my way, and I spent some time walking back and forth like a dizzy cockroach after the Wither skeletons. With the other 2 heads collected, I grabbed some soul sand and head home. I was looking forward to it all, since I'd never fought this boss before. I saw a strategy on YouTube where people dig a large tunnel to summon it only at the end, and I even found another giant iron vein in the process. But the long-awaited moment has finally arrived.
Seriously? That's it?
I know I'm well prepared, but even on hard difficult, I expected a little more from it. Legend has it that the Bedrock Wither is much harder, so if you play on Bedrock, comment below to let me know. But leaving that disappointment aside, I already had everything to make the beacon, but I decided to collect from this new giant vein of iron that I discovered. But just a little more to make sure that I won't miss anything and I won't have to come back here again. When I finally decided to go home, it was already night, so I went to sleep quickly, and in the morning, I eliminated the threads that were surrounding my road. I removed the automatic furnace on the upper floor since it had already served its purpose. Then I'll move my llamas closer to home for now and start taming them all in case they're at risk of disappearing. On day 56, I spent some time finishing the upstairs decoration, adding an enchantment area and making a permanent bed. Soon after, I take the opportunity to collect experience from the enchanted gear I acquired, and I managed to get the best axe enchantment I could imagine. This is definitely a YouTuber's luck. One thing was still bothering me a lot, and that was my llamas were completely unprotected, exposed to rain and sun, day and night, without a place for them to live. So my next project would be to build a stable where they would stay. Before that, I start by tidying up the land a bit to accommodate this construction, and I've even left the area where my beacon will be prepared, so that in the future I can just come here and build something to decorate it. Returning to the llama shelter, it was a quick task since it was a much simpler construction. With it completed at the end of the day, I immediately began moving all the llamas to their new homes. To connect everything, I worked a little more on the path to my one-man village, but the ones that would give access to the stable and also to the beacon. Speaking of beacon, I started working on where it would be too, and once again a patrol came to disturb me. Returning to the construction again, I wanted to look like some kind of Japanese temple or something, at least the roof. In the end, I think I managed to convey that vibe, or at least a bit of it. But there was still one thing missing for this place to be complete: the long-awaited beacon. It was the first time I had done this in my entire life, so I confess it was a very pleasant feeling, especially having everything recorded so I could share it with you. The buff I chose was speed, but I think I should have positioned it in the middle of the village. But oh well. After adding some final details to the decoration of the place, I made a small bridge to cross when I needed, but something very simple, just not to leave the environment without anything decorative. Do you remember the Nether portal I made? Well, the next project would be that, but here I wanted to convey a pale garden vibe, and I thought it would be cool to make it look like it was surrounded by trees from the biome itself. And I confess I really liked the idea, especially after seeing how everything turned out when it was finished. I was getting tired of building, but I still needed to do something for my village, and this time I decided to make a small port. Something very subtle and nothing too big, just to decorate the environment and then reach the village even more. Once I added some details to the area's pathways and finished adding a boat platform to my little harbor as well, I decided to head back to the end again, in search of some more equipment to get my perfect armor. I still needed the armor pants, since mine didn't have demanding enchantment. The first time was as long as the second. I spent 4 or 5 days exploring the place, going from corner to corner, looking for these boats with elytra.
I still can't get used to the sound of these things. Shookers are the worst type of creature in my opinion. But it would be much easier for you to use amending enchantment and solve your problem.
It would be if I had a villager to do it. But I can already tell you that later on, we will indeed be able to get one of those slaves.
I mean, villager.
As soon as I got home, it was night, and in the morning I had to clean the area again. But this whole process was worth it, as I got a total of 6 sugar boxes practically full of end equipment. After that, I thought it best to add a greater protection for the llamas, since in this world, in the creative world that I used to come up with ideas, some pillagers appeared and simply destroyed them. And for that not to happen in my 100-day world, it's better to leave them better protected. My one-man village is completely unprotected, without a wall to keep monsters from invading. But to do so, I'll need a lot of wood, since I ended up turning much of it into charcoal to smelt beacons iron. So I dedicated some of my free time to gathering more wood with my new overpowered axe. And I even managed to get a Greeking heart, although I have no idea what it's for other than summoning that creature that terrorizes us at night. But now that I had all the necessary wood, finally another relaxing part to grace my day. The village wall was actually pretty quick to complete. I confess I thought it would take longer, and since I'm a little short on time, it was time to organize my chests again, moving the items I got from sugar boxes and finding a way to upgrade as much equipment as I could in the process. Thanks to this, I now dare say I have the perfect diamond sword. After that, I went back to the cave to collect some deep slates and get some more gunpowder, since I ran out of rockets.
Oh shit. Oh hell no!
As I was leaving the cave, I ended up encountering a zombie villager, which was exactly what I was looking for all along. After trapping him in a boat, I needed to find a way to keep him safe until nightfall, so I could take him home, while also being careful during transportation. I even got careless, and the poor thing started to catch fire, but thankfully nothing had happened to it. On the way home, I had to deal with the monsters and the creaking get in my way, not to mention the terrain, which didn't help either. Even a common zombie kept my villager company, but in the end, everything worked out. According to my sources, brown mushrooms were readily available in the Nether, and that was the only thing I needed to make the weakness potions. With the help of the elytra, finding the mushrooms was relatively easy, and as soon as I got home, I made the splash weakness potions and activated the transformation of my first one-man villager. This one will definitely give me the mending enchantment when he transforms. I even tried to look for any zombie villagers, but on the surface. However, I couldn't find anything. When it came time to get the blessed one to take the profession I wanted, he simply wanted to keep choosing jobs, until finally he became a librarian. I got the book for 10 emeralds. It's normal price, but with the discount, it was almost free. In the right corner of the house, I thought it was too empty there, so I ended up having the idea of planting some pumpkins to decorate the place, taking a little more of my time to make the environment even more cozy. With all the pumpkins planted, it was time to get some mud blocks to decorate my village's paths. While it's not a very pretty block, it works well for floors and paths in some outdoor areas. On day 82, I started work on an area where I will eventually place my villagers, deep in the ground. I actually wanted to turn this place into a mining area, but after seeing a giant cave right next to it, it kind of didn't make sense. I tried to keep it as natural as possible, adding a coarse dirt path like I did before, and I even added a storage area on this exposed side. Tired of working on the villagers' corner, I got back to work at the port, using barrels, chests, and campfires to decorate the place and not make it as empty as it was before. I even managed to meet a merchant, but unfortunately, he didn't have anything I wanted. My next build wouldn't be done here, but in the end, this is because I was about to get the most difficult enchantment to find, and for that, I would need an XP farm to be able to repair my items whenever I needed. After I had everything in my hands, all that was left was to do the long-awaited XP farm that I had been putting off for so long. The hardest part was definitely getting the Endermite to appear. It took almost a pack full of pearls to get this little guy to spawn, so much so that I named him Disturbed. Now I just had to take out all the torches I had placed and watch the magic finally happen. I don't know if this is the best XP farm out there, but it's definitely the noisiest farm of all. When I got back home, I tried to find another zombie villager in that same cave as before, so I spent a good amount of time waiting for him to spawn again. After he finally showed up, I even lit up the entire place with torches so no monsters could disturb me. It was just dawn, and I couldn't wait that long to take him away. The only way is to transform him right here. To speed things up, I simply went home, grabbed everything I needed to transform the zombie villager right there, and left everything ready to take him home without any problems. Now with him transformed, I needed to run to get him to safety before nightfall, but in the end, everything worked out, and now I can have infinite villagers. Although I don't have that much time left to make them work for me. Oddly enough, he gave me the same job as his twin, and he didn't want to work where I was putting him, and this one would sell me the Unbreakable 3 enchantments. Now that everything was in its proper place, all that was left was to decorate the area where my villagers would work. Here, I used materials I already had in my inventory, creating something relatively simple, yet still very cozy.
At least for them.
I even thought it would be a lot more work for me to be able to put each one in their respective cabin, but it was quite easy. Now my last goal was to finish my armor with the best possible tier, Netherite. To do this, I thought it would be a good idea to make some TNTs and then blow them up there to get the ore, but I really didn't know how much gunpowder I needed to make each TNT. As soon as I arrived in the Nether, I went in search of the mold used to transform diamond armor into Netherite armor, and to be 100% sure, I found a treasure bastion. I was as careful as possible to just grab the molds and get out of there before the brute piglins came to finish me off. As soon as I found a good area to mine the ancient debris, I tested it with TNT,
But to my disappointment, they ran out quickly.
I forgot to record the entire process, and only realized when I had collected enough for a full suit of armor. I continued digging in a straight line on layer 15, alternating between 2 layers to get the ancient debris. I'm sure some will say,
I thought you got that in survival. I'm sure you got in creative.
that's your problem, friend. I'm honest, and my conscience wouldn't let me do that. Besides, all this time, without sleep, I was in the Nether searching for those rare ores. I managed to get a total of 40 ancient debris after spending a few days in the Nether, so I smelted them all down to make netherite ingots. I even ran into a merchant near my house who was selling watermelon seeds, so this time I finally decided to trade with him. I quickly used my wits to swap out some pumpkin seeds for watermelon seeds, and I made copies of all the mods to transform my diamond armor into netherite. After finally achieving full netherite, I still find a way to make the armor more stylish. Although I confess, I didn't really like the design of this decorative mode. At least, I got the best armor ever. On the last day, I take the opportunity to rest a little, and for those of you who have followed me this far, leave a comment so I know you watched this insane journey, and a lot of pronunciation mistakes too. I really enjoyed playing this biome. It was a bit challenging to build things without the wood I like to use the most, but I think the buildings ended up being quite interesting anyway, and I think I managed to build a lot in the time available. If you like this video, I kindly ask that you have your like and hype the video if possible to support my work and make this video reach more people. I am Natsu, and I wish you and your family all the best. A big hug, and until the next adventure.